Hey everyone, welcome to the channel for another Escape from Tarkov video. The developers just added a bunch of very useful new crafting recipes into the game at the laboratory, med station, workbench, and intel center, and I just wanted to get a quick video up to go over these new crafting options. First up, one new crafting recipe has been added to the med station, which will be extremely useful for everyone. You can now craft one morphine using painkillers, a pile of meds, and one disposable syringe. Morphine is a top tier painkiller, so it's useful for that, but this crafting option lets you make the 4 syringes you need for the therapist quest in the hideout, so you don't have to worry about finding all 4 during the raid and extracting. This is a very useful crafting option, and I'm glad we can now produce morphine since I use it a lot. One other crafting recipe has been added to the workbench, allowing you to craft 180 5.56 M856A1 rounds using 90 rounds of M855 and 1 red gunpowder. This should be a pretty useful crafting option for anyone who likes to use the M4, HK, or ADAR in the mid-game, since M856A1 is a pretty decent round, and the materials needed for this one aren't too expensive or rare. I'd like to see more crafting like this for the mid-game to make mid-tier ammo, but this is a good start and I'll be using this one for sure. The laboratory saw the biggest update with these new crafting recipes, getting 5 new options to craft some really useful items. First up, at level 1 you can use fleece cloth to produce 6 bandages. This one seems kind of underwhelming to me and would be more useful if it created army bandages, but it's still a pretty decent way to make a piece of fleece pretty useful. Also at level 1, players can create 2 scav backpacks using 1 fleece and 1 piece of ripstop cloth. This one is pretty useful for the very early game when you don't really have backpacks, and the fact that you can make 2 out of 1 crafting run is pretty awesome. You can find fleece and ripstop in clothing stores on Interchange, on scavs in duffel bags, and in hidden stashes, so you should be able to track down some materials if you know where to look. At level 2, the laboratory got some pretty useful crafting options as well that will be a huge help in some of the found in raid quests. First up, you can craft a module 3M armor using 1 aramid cloth and 1 ripstop cloth. This is a godsend for skiers early quest since it can be a real pain to extract with 4 of those armors, and this should help you complete it much faster. You can also craft a 6L31 60 round magazine for the 5.45 AKs at the laboratory level 2 using 4 6L23 magazines and 1 roll of Keck tape. This one will also be super useful for the proper quest where you need to hand over these magazines. Plus, they're extremely useful to just have and use to get some extra firepower. I can definitely see myself crafting these fairly often. The last crafting option added to the lavatory is the Tarzan tactical rig, which can be crafted using 1 Cordura fabric and 1 ripstop fabric. This one isn't needed for quests or anything, but it's cool to see that we're starting to be able to craft more pieces of our loadouts, and I'd love to see more stuff like this added as a way to be self-sufficient and make our own gear. Finally, 3 different crafting recipes have been added to the Intelligence Center, all of which are going to be very useful for completing some of the endgame quests that require you to find these extremely rare military tech items. Unfortunately, these are unlocked at the Intel Center level 3, and I don't have that unlocked yet, so I can't show any screenshots or videos of the new crafting recipes. I'll go over them here though, and talk about what you'll need to make these items. First up, you can make 2 VPX flash storage modules using 3 RAM, 1 SSD drive, and 1 broken G-phone. You need these for a late game mechanic quest, so if you're having trouble finding them, you can use this crafting option to get a hold of the one you need for the quest, and then you can flip the other one on the flea market. Next up, you can craft 1 Virtex using 2 military circuit boards, 2 CPUs, and 5 capacitors. All of these items can be found easily enough in reserve and in computers, so it shouldn't be too tough to start crafting them. You'll need 2 of these items for a late game peacekeeper quest, so if you have trouble finding them for that, this might be a good option for you. Finally, the last new crafting recipe lets you make 1 COFDM signal transceiver using 1 GPX, 1 power bank, and 1 military circuit board. Again, this is needed for a late game peacekeeper quest, so like all of the new crafts at the Intel Center, this one can be quite useful to help you easily complete that quest. Well, that about covers it for these new crafting recipes. I hope you got all the info you needed and can find some useful ways to take advantage of the new options for crafting in the hideout. I like the direction they're going with these ones, providing a solid second option for completing quests, and giving us the ability to craft some really useful basic items needed for our loadouts. I'll be streaming more Escape from Tarkov on Twitch, and if you want to catch a raid sometime, I got a link for that in the description. There's also links to my Twitter, Discord server, and Patreon page if you want to take a look at those. Thanks for checking out the video. As always, feel free to leave any comments, corrections, or suggestions down below, and until next time, stay safe in Tarkov City.